Hi friends, in this lecture we will discuss what is BP business partner in SAP S4HANA. As in ECC we used to create a vendor using T code XK01, and once if we just want to edit we use T code XK02, and to display we use T code XK03. But in SAP S4HANA we just use a BP concept, business partner. So like in ECC we have to create separately customer, vendor, supplier. These we need to create separately. But in case of SAP S4 HANA, in SAP S4 HANA we are just creating a BP, and we are assigning the role as per that. So let's suppose it's a vendor or supplier, we are going to assign like FLVN 00 and FLVN 01 roles, that we will also discuss in that lecture. So in SAP S4 HANA there is a no need to create a separate customer or vendor. For all a same T code is there, and that's a BP, right? So we will see that BP in SAP S4 HANA, and that's the major difference between ECC and S4 HANA. Mostly 90 to 95% the concepts are same in ECC and S4 HANA, even though screen looks alike in both the cases. But that's the major difference in both ECC and S4 HANA. Like in ECC we used to create a vendor by just using T code XK01, but in case of S4 HANA we are creating a BP, business partner. So let's see, uh, like, and don't confuse with that vendor and supplier, both are same. In ECC we used to say vendor. In S4 HANA we used to say supplier. So meanwhile both are same, vendor and supplier. So what is a vendor? So vendor is a party that makes goods and service available to the consumers. So that's a vendor. And what's a vendor master record? So let me give you a very practical example so that you can relate with that. What's the master data record? It can be vendor master record or metal master record. So let me give you a very practical example, real life example in a layman language so that you can relate. So just like once you were in a college, you just have a ID proof. So in that ID proof you have your name mentioned, your parents name, your guardian name mentioned, your registration number mentioned, your year is mentioned there, your branch is mentioned there, your domain. So all those mentioned related to you. It's not related to your friend or your your classmates. It's not that, it just belongs to you. So that card just contains all details related to you. Same like that in vendor master record, we just use vendor master record to specify vendor specific information. Whatever vendor specific informations are there, like name of a vendor, address details, bank account, currency, payment terms, contact information, their bank information, every each and every details related to that vendor is in vendor master record. And we used to create a vendor master record to store or to specify, to have all these details of that specific vendor. So that's a vendor master record, right? Types of vendor. So there are several types of vendor that we will discuss one by one. What is one first one is internal vendor or internal supplier. So both are same. So supplying by another company code under that same client, we used to say internal vendor. Let's suppose under a client there are two companies are there. Let's suppose first company is like Honda, another company is Tata, let's suppose. Or let me take example like for Tata and Sons. Tata and Son is a client. Under that, two company codes are there. Like one is Tata Tea, and another one is a Tata Tata Beverage. Okay, so if like Tata Beverage is just supplying some material to that Tata Tea, then we will just say that it's a internal vendor or internal supplier, because supplying by another company code under the same client, like client is same, Tata and Sons is a client here. I guess it's clear to you. What's an external vendor? So a company or a person who supply material from outside outside the company or client is a external vendor. What's a regular vendor? A vendor, a vendor or supplier, like vendor or supply of a material at the client level, and they supply the entire corporate group. So for some vendor, right, so for some vendor supplies part to Honda Motors, so that will be a regular vendor. Like all Honda Motors, that same vendor will supply the parts to that Honda motor, so that will be a regular vendor. What's a fixed vendor? Fixed vendor, like we will also discuss that in a source list concept. So what's a fixed vendor? The vendor from whom the company will take certain material, which can be a low value or high volume type. It can be anything, but we just have fixed that for our like future purchases also. We are just fixing that vendor, that we considered as a fixed vendor. And we also have this option in a source list, that once we will discuss that master data source list concept, we will see how we will use this fixed option checkbox there, and what's the significance for that. One time vendor, that supply only once, is a one time vendor. The name itself mentions like fixed vendor, one time vendor. Fixed vendor who is a fixed, from whom we are just purchasing material, like we are fixing that regularly we are purchasing. Okay. One time vendor, that supply only once. So sometimes you can also figure out with the name itself. Domestic vendor, like domestically we are purchasing something, like not from another country, or like we are not importing something, we are just purchasing from that same company code and same country code. That will be a domestic vendor. So the vendor from whom the company will take certain material or service from the same country is called a domestic vendor. Import vendor, just like importing something. So the vendor from whom the company will take certain material or services from a different country is called import vendor. Now these are the types of vendors that you must be familiar about. Now we will discuss how to create a vendor master data in SAP S4 HANA. So what's a T code for that? So simply we will just move to SAP screen, SAP sandbox, and that's the latest version of SAP S4 HANA 2023 version. So we will see each and every concept on latest version of SAP S4 HANA, that's a 2023 version. Yeah, but before that, let me also show you on ECC how we used to create a vendor or supplier. So in ECC, simply that's a ECC screen, and both looks almost similar. Both screen you will see, just wait. So here I'm giving my user ID and password and hit enter to log in. So here in ECC we just use T code XK01. So from here we used to create a vendor, right? Like we are giving the vendor number, company code, purchase or account group, we are creating from here. But in SAP S4 HANA, you will see this is SAP S4 HANA 2023. Let me show you here. So here we just use T code BP. If I will try to use XK01 also, the system will just redirect me to the BP. Just see, I'm trying to use XK01, hit enter. Like you can see, BP is just taking me to BP. So let me create as a person. It directly taking me to the BP. So this is a BP, business partner. So I will just use a T code BP, and here we will just select as an organization, and here you can see the roles. So in ECC we need not to just select a roles automatically, we were just using T code XK01 for vendor, and we just giving the vendor number, account group, all these details as you have seen here, like vendor, company code, purchase org, account group we are giving here, and hit enter, and we are just giving the details. But in SAP S4 HANA there is a BP, and in BP we are going to select the roles from here. So we have to, like for journal data we have to select this role, 6 times 0. For company code data we have to select another role like FLVN 00 and 01 is for, like you can see here. So these roles we have to select from here. FLVN 00, FLVN 01, like one is for general data, that's 6 times 0. Then for purchasing view, company code data. So we have to select the roles in SAP S4 HANA, but in ECC we need not to do that, right? We will see that one by one. So let me show you these roles. I have mentioned that in my notes. So for general view it's like 6 times 0, it's a standard. For finance view it's a FLVN 00. For purchasing view it's a FLVN 01. So these are the standard views that we have to select. So let's create a BP in our system. So how we are going to create? Simply go to SAP screen and just use T code BP here. Hit enter, and here just click on this organization, just click on that. Right? So here you can see these fields, like one is BP roles and one is grouping here. So what's the significance for that grouping and BP role? So once we will just select this BP role, that grouping, that grouping will decide the number range of a BP. So whatever number range will be created, like whatever BP number will be there, that will be decided by that grouping. So like you can also write it down in your notes. The significance for that grouping is that the grouping will decide the number range for BP, for business partner, right? So what we are going to do, we will just select any grouping from here, and we in next session also we will see how to configure that grouping. So we will configure our grouping, we will also configure our BP roles, number ranges, all we will configure in next session. But right now let me select any of these. So let me select let me take for domestic, let me take this one. So I just selected this grouping, and here by default this 6 times 0, that general data view will be selected. If it's not, just select this entry. So this is for general data, and just hit enter here. And here we need to give these details like address. So in address we will mention only mandatory data. So we will just mention mandatory field because it's just a test server, but in real time we used to mention each and every detail. So search term is like with which search term I just want to search that vendor. So let me give that same, and here it's an address. So whatever address you want to give, you can give here. Postal code, country here. So country, let me take India here. Right? Region, let me take any region is just like a province. So any province I can give here. So let me give any province here. And these details, if I want to add on, I can add on. Otherwise, I can also leave that because it's not a mandatory. Language, let me give here. Telephone number, mobile number. So I can give all these details here. Okay. And if you are not able to see that properly, all these details, so you can see here more fields you can see from here also. So like all fields are visible right now, like comments, address, valid from, external address, everything is there. So we will just hit enter, and we will go to address overview. On this tab we will go. So what's the significance of that address overview? So you can see here whatever address we have entered here, whatever address we have entered here in address overview, it's coming here. Okay, like validity and address and country. But if I just want to maintain one more address here, I can add on here. So let me add on one more address here. So let me select same like I have selected there. So let me select any region here, like a province, postal code, all these I'm not selecting, just selecting language and check. Now you can see two address are coming here. You have seen there create icon is there. I have created an address. If I just want to create one more, I can also create one more, but I'm going to create only two here. And what's the significance for that? For example, in some cases standard addresses are different, but a billing address is a different, employees private address is a different. So we can select delivery address is a different. So if there is a different address, we can maintain at that time. Okay, let's suppose like this one is a delivery address. So what I will do, I will just select this and I will just scroll down and I will just click on delivery address and I will just click on that create. That means now this will be considered as a delivery address. You can see now delivery address is this one and standard address is this one. So in case of a multiple address, we can take like that. So hit enter. In identification, we will see all these details. So whatever is mandatory field is there, we are going to maintain that field only. Okay, so in that identification, it's like from which date to which date it's legal, foundation date. If this we just want to mention these details, we can mention, otherwise we can also skip. So I'm going to skip that. It's just a test server. So BP type, so if I want to give a BP type, like which type of a BP it is, like it's a partner or it's a manager, it's an employee, it's a retailer, a wholesaler. If we want to mention it, we can mention, but I'm not going to mention it here, right? I'm also going to skip that. And like authorization group, print format, date of origin, if these details I just want to mention, I can mention. Okay, and notes, if I want to mention some notes here, accounting note, marketing note, if I want to mention something here, we can mention here, right? Then payment transaction, so it's like bank related details are there, like ID proof, bank account number, bank key, account key, IBN number, whatever bank details, payment card details, card number, these details are there. So we are going to skip that also. Status, so if we just wants to lock this centrally, we just want to block this vendor, we can block from here. If we just want to not release that, we don't want to release that vendor, we can use that, but we are not going to use that, it's not required. Okay, then these here you can see like uses, validity, from which to which date its validity, future, past, all these details. Like if we want to maintain, we can maintain, but we are going to skip that because it's not required. And in additional text, if we want to maintain, we want to make some note here, we can and note, we can write it down here. Okay, and whatever text we want to mention, whatever language in we just want to mention, we can mention here. So we will also skip that, right? Now we are, what we are going to do, we will just here we just want to mention ID type, identification number, who is the responsible institution, entry date. If we want to mention, we can mention, but here it's a test server, we are just taking mandatory data, whatever is required. So what I will do now, I will just click on check and you can see here it is, it's fine, just save it. So this is a BP, this is created. Okay, now what we will do, now we just maintain the general data view, because we just use this 6 times 0. Okay, we just selected this role. Now we can change a role, we will change a role from here. So for finance view, we will select FLVN00. So this is standard view. So we will select from here. For that, we have to click on this change icon first, because right now it's on a display mode. So just click on change, and from here we will select FLVN00. So for code data, for company data, we will just use BP role FLVN01. And if someone just want to create a customer, they will use that same T code BP, and they will select these roles like FLCU01. These roles they need to select, right? So let me select FLVN00. So this is for company code data. You can see here. So hit enter and just click on company code data. So just click on here, and here we will mention our company code. So my company code is KRIP. Whatever company code you have, just mention it here. Hit enter, and then we will mention here our like details, like our recon account or reconciliation account. So what's the reconciliation account? It's just like a bank account number. So it's like 1,60,000 standard when we are going to take, right? So just hit enter, just go to vendor payment transaction. So in this tab we can maintain our terms of payment. Like what's the terms of payment? Like we need to pay to the vendor immediately or after 15 days. If we are going to pay immediately, how much discount we are going to get. So these all are like terms of payment. So these are standard terms of payment like 0001, 0002, 0003. If we want to configure our own payment terms, that also we can do. Okay, but right now I'm going to select any of these standard one. Like 0001 is a payable immediately. 0002 is within 14 days it must be paid, and if it will be paid within 14 days, 2% cash discount will be there, and due date is 30. So these are like payment terms we can also configure, and we will also see how we can configure in next sessions. So now we are going to select only any of these. So let me select this. Okay, so tolerance, grow, payment, reason. If we want to mention all these also, we can mention house bank, payment method, grouping key, but I'm going to give only mandatory data here. So let me hit enter, and then just go to next tab. So if we just want to do a dunning procedure, it's like FI related terms. So if we want to do the dunning and all these things, we can do dunning areas and all these details. So that's also not required. Vendor status is just like a blocking. If we just want to block this vendor for all company code, we can select this checkbox. If we want to block this vendor for selected company code, we can select from here. But we are not going to block that. We are going to remain that unblock. In ECC, if you remember, if you practice on ECC also, XK05 and XK06 we use, and these we use to block in that all company code and selected company code. But here, as like XKT codes are obsoleted, and we can do that here in simply in BP also, like we can block from here also. So we are not going to block anything here. And then these all like tax type and all these details related to tax exemption number. If we just under that exemption, so we can select all these. Now just check, because we are just giving mandatory data, and you can see a number range is not assigned to account group RDVN. So what's the issue here? Issue is here, like whatever account group we have selected, a number range is not assigned to that. So it's not a error free right now. Okay, so what we can do here, we will just create again a BP. Let me take some another account let me take, just wait a while, let me take some another grouping. So instead of that, because like account number is not assigned, like number range is not assigned to that, so in next session we will configure our own. Okay, but here I just want to mention how we can create simply, how we can create a business partner in S4 HANA. So let me take this one. Let me do it little fast because already I have completed that. Let me do that. So enter just overview, identification, control. Okay, just check and save it. BP, this is created. Now I will just click on change and I will select here FLVN00. So let me select from here, right? Check or hit enter and just click on company code data. Here mention your company code, hit enter, give recon account, whatever mandatory data is there I'm going to mention that, and other I will just leave blank. So language is mandatory, let me select English here. Now check. Now you can see BP is error free. Why we were getting in that case error? Because that number range is not assigned with that, okay, that grouping. So here you can see data is BP is error free. So just check and save it. So it's saved. You can see here changes has been saved. Now what we will do, again we will select, we will just click on here change mode and we will select here, right now it's in a display mode, in a change mode, and just select FLVN01. So this role is for purchasing view. We have created general view by just selecting role 6 times 0. We have like created finance, we just and maintain finance view by just selecting FLVN00. Now we are going to select a purchasing view by just selecting the role FLVN01. So we will just select FLVN01 here. So let me go down and let me see FLVN01. You can see here FLVN01 and you can see here simply purchasing view. Just click on that. Now we can maintain purchasing view here. So that's my purchase organization. Just give your purchase organization, hit enter, and here currency, so I'm taking USD. So payment terms is for domestic vendor and Incoterms is for import vendor. So let me take like domestic vendor here and hit enter. Here we can give that partner function if there is any partner to that vendor, like uh, invoices generated by someone else and deliveries done by someone else. So that's a partners. So if we want to maintain those partners also there, we can maintain here vendor sub range, interchangeability, or if we want to use we can use, but we are just using the mandatory data, and hit enter and save. Now you can see this is our BP business partner, right? And this is also our vendor VAN05. So if we just want to see our list of vendor, how we can see, we can just use T code MKVZ. So here if I want to see my vendor, so this recently I created this one, like VAN05 I just created. So this is my supplier, this is my BP number, business partner number. Let me just double click here, and if I just want to copy this, I can also copy this. So let me copy this in notepad, right? So this is my BP number. Right. So this is our supplier, or as I told you in S4HANA we used to say supplier, otherwise it's also vendor. And this is our search term. If we want to search with 105 101, we can search. And if we just want to take same, both BP and that vendor both same, because companies usually require that we it's their requirement, like that BP number and vendor number both must be same. Here you can see the different now 105 and this, that must be the same. So we will configure that in next session, how we can do that, so that both have the same number in. So we will see that in next session also. So here we have created a BP, and if we want to make some changes, or if we want to display the BP, how we can do that? Same T code is here like BP. It's not like in ECC we are going to use a different code to create, different code to change. Like in ECC, T code to create a vendor is XK01, to change it is XK02, and to display is XK03. But here it's not like that. Here it's same BP T code we are using here. So in BP, we just need to go click on this open BP, just click on here and just enter your BP number here and hit enter. So from here you can see it's in a display mode. Right now it's in a display mode. Whatever BP we have created, here it is. So it's in a display mode, right? If we want to see a purchasing view, we can see from here, like USD currency we have taken, payment terms, each and every details you can see from here, right? So this is right now in a display mode. So if we want to see general data, purchasing view data, or if we just want to go for that company code data, we will select the BP role from here, and it's in display mode, right? We can't change anything, it's in a display mode. So same T code in S4 HANA, it's a BP, to change, to display. If I want to change something, let's suppose if I just want to change this terms of payment, how can I change? So same BP, I will just click on this change, switch to display to change, that's it. So once it will be clicked, I can change from here. So if I just want to take this 0006, I can do, just hit enter, check and save it. It's error free, so save it. So change has been saved. So if I want to go again on a display mode, I will just click on this again. Now right now you can see we are on a display mode. So we can change, we can come on a display mode like that. And if we want to track that, like who have changed that data, on which date they have changed, we can also do that, right? So right now, and sometimes what happen, let me show you on a change mode. Sometimes what happen, you can't see these keys like FLV and 00. You can only see that description, you can't see these keys. So how can you display these keys? So simply just go to this customize local layout icon, just go to options, and here just go to interaction design, just go to visualization 1 tab, and here you can see show keys with drop down list. If I will select uncheck, apply, you will see I will not able to see that. So once again I will just use T code BP, you will see I will not able to see that. So sometimes it happen in your case, like you can't see that, like you can see only description I can see, that keys I can't see. So like here also, everywhere I'm not going to see any keys. Like even in mm01 also I'm not going to see, in metal master record I'm not going to see any keys here, I'm going to see only description. So if that happen, any chance, or like you are just working on a fresh system, if it's happening, how can you like change that? So where is the control? Just go to options and just go to visualization one and just click on visualization one. So show keys with drop down list, just select this checkbox, apply, and OK. Now if I will just go to BP or in MMR, we can see these keys. So now organization, so for side we just select organization, for like HCM side they just select person or group. So here we will just select organization. Let me do it. Let me log in again. I don't know what happened. It's a practice servers. Either internet issue is there or server issue is there. Yeah, internet issue is there. So just select this first checkbox and hit enter. Okay. And if you just go in a BP, you can see system becomes so slow. I guess my Wi-Fi is not working properly. Let me switch to another. Yeah, it's open. Just select organization from here, and you can see right now, you can see the keys. So where is the control? Here in customize local layout, right? So this is how we can create a BP in SAP S4HANA. In next session, we will see end to end how we can do the configuration. So in this lecture, what we have learned like types of vendors and what is vendor master record and how we can create a BP in SAP S4HANA. So simply we just use T code BP and we just use we will just select these roles, BP roles, like 6 times 0 standard, and for finance view we just select FLVN00. For purchasing view we just select FLVN01 and we just give the mandatory data there and we just create a BP like that. But in next session we will see how we can configure end to end that BP. So configuration of business partner we will see in next session. So I hope this is clear to you, right? So thank you. Thanks a lot. May God watch over you.